I was a gift human, why haven't you touched me yet? The alien slave woman asked. The first signal came quietly, almost shyly, as if the universe itself was hesitant to introduce what it had prepared. Humanity had been listening, scanning the stars for decades, but nothing had prepared them for this. The Galactic Council, a collection of species that had ruled the stars for centuries, had sent a gift, a representative of a subjugated race, directly to Earth. The gift was neither small nor simple. She arrived in a sleek vessel that shimmered with colors humans had never named, and when she stepped out, the world paused. Lysara was taller than most humans, with limbs that moved gracefully and eyes that reflected a strange mixture of curiosity and mischief. Her skin had a soft golden shimmer, like sunlight through honey, and she spoke in a voice that was clear and musical. She did not bow. She did not kneel. Instead, she looked around, tilting her head as if taking measure of the entire planet. I was a gift, human, she said, her words rolling off her tongue as if testing the air. Why haven't you touched me yet? It took a moment for anyone to respond. Her words were unexpected. Some of the scientists frowned, thinking it was a joke. Others whispered nervously, unsure if touch meant something physical. But Lysara's laughter quickly dispelled any tension. It was light and soft, yet it carried authority. I mean, why have you not reached out? Not physically, of course, she added with a smile that made her eyes sparkle. I have been sent as a gift, but I am more than a token. You must see that, yes. The confusion among humans began to fade as curiosity replaced fear. The first to step forward was Dr. Eliza Hart, the head of the newly formed Human First Contact Division. She was tall, serious, and had a way of asking questions that made people think before answering. We are still trying to understand what it means to receive a gift of this kind, Dr. Hart said carefully. We've never had contact like this before. We don't know the proper protocol. Lysara tilted her head again, her golden hair catching the sunlight. Protocol is simple. Listen, learn, and ask. Do not assume. If you assume, you will misunderstand everything about me, and misunderstandings can be dangerous in my world. I hope they are not so here. Her words, though gentle, carried weight. She spoke of a world humans could not yet imagine, a civilization where entire species were treated as property, their intelligence ignored, their lives confined to rules set by others. Yet she spoke with humor, showing that even after being considered a gift, she had not lost her spark. The first weeks were awkward. Lysara was placed in a research facility, not a prison, though the building had high walls and security cameras. Humans were fascinated, eager to study her physiology, her abilities, her language, her culture. But Lysara made it clear that she would cooperate only if treated as an equal. I do not wish to be caged, observed like an experiment, she said during her first interview. I am a representative of my people, yes, but I am also an individual. If you want knowledge, you must offer respect. Do not mistake politeness for weakness. It was a lesson humans would take to heart. Every conversation with her became an exploration, not of biology alone, but of ethics, diplomacy, and understanding. Lysara challenged every assumption, questioned every method, and often made humans laugh with her pointed observations. One day, Dr. Hart asked her to demonstrate a minor skill, a telekinetic ability, subtle but precise. Lysara smiled faintly, lifting a small metallic sphere into the air with ease, moving it in complex patterns. The scientists gasped. Such ability was rare even in her own world, and to see it applied so effortlessly to simple tasks was astonishing. Impressive, one technician whispered. How can she control it so well? Patience, Lysara said, lowering the sphere, and understanding the limits of others. Humans learn quickly, but they must learn carefully. Do not rush or you break the flow. The news of her presence spread across the globe, and soon, humans from all walks of life wanted to meet her. Diplomats, scientists, engineers, even artists arrived to witness this extraordinary being who had arrived as a gift, yet demanded engagement on her own terms. Lysara's humor became a bridge. When a group of scientists tried to measure her reflexes, she dodged them playfully, laughing as they stumbled. You see, she said, my kind values wit and timing as much as strength. If you cannot catch me in mind as well as body, you will always be behind. Her words struck something deep in humans. They were not just observing a gifted alien, they were learning how to become better thinkers, better problem solvers. The gift had turned the observers into students without their realizing it. One evening, Lysara sat atop the observation deck, looking at Earth from a distance. The sun dipped below the horizon, and she spoke softly, almost to herself, though Dr. Hart was listening. Your world is young, yes, impulsive, loud, chaotic, yet I see potential here. You humans, you adapt, you care, you create. This is rare in the galaxy. You will surprise everyone if you continue on this path. Dr. Hart was moved. We try, she said, though sometimes I fear we are not ready for what's out there. Lysara turned her golden eyes on her. Readiness is not measured in strength or age. It is measured in willingness. And humans, despite all your chaos, are willing. That is why you are interesting. That is why you have my attention. The first part of her integration into human society was not without tension. Other alien species in the council, watching from afar, whispered among themselves. A rival species, known for trading and controlling smaller civilizations, saw Lysara as a valuable asset. They hinted at reclaiming her, sending messages filled with threats hidden as formalities. Humans, however, had not come this far to falter. They began learning the art of diplomacy under Lysara's guidance. She coached them in subtle negotiation, in reading intent, in speaking truth while avoiding provocation. With her help, Earth was no longer a passive observer in galactic politics. Do not assume the universe will wait for you, she said during one meeting. But also, do not assume it is impossible to influence it. The two often coexist. That is where humans excel, your curiosity, your unpredictability. Dr. Hart and her team realized that this alien gift was more than a token of diplomacy. Lysara had opened a door to possibilities that humans had only imagined. In her presence, the limits of human imagination seemed smaller and yet more powerful. Weeks turned into months, and Lysara grew comfortable in her new environment. She explored cities, learned about human culture, tasted foods, laughed at strange customs, and even attempted to understand human humor, though she often noted that humans laughed at the wrong things. Despite her playful nature, she never let anyone forget her origin. She reminded them of the struggles her people faced, of the lives constrained by ancient laws and cruel hierarchies. Her stories were filled with sorrow and triumph, and humans listened, learning empathy that stretched beyond their planet. The world had never seen anything like her. Newspapers, television, and social media debated her status, her abilities, her purpose. Some called her a miracle, others a challenge, but everyone agreed she was extraordinary. One morning, a young engineer named Malik approached her, hesitant yet eager. Lysara, he said, I want to understand how you think. Can you teach me? She smiled. You want to be touched by understanding, not by hands. That is wise. Yes, I will teach you. But remember, true understanding is never given. It is earned. You must ask the right questions and you must listen carefully. Otherwise, you will see only shadows. Malik nodded, inspired. Lysara's presence was changing humans, not by force, but by example. She was a gift, yes, but her greatest gift was the way she made humans see themselves, their potential, their creativity, their humanity. As night fell, Earth continued its slow rotation, lights twinkling across continents, unaware of the larger galaxy watching. And above it all, Lysara gazed at the stars, smiling softly. Humanity had not touched her in the way many expected, but they had reached her in a way far more important. For the first time in centuries, she felt hope. And in her hope, humans found something extraordinary too, the beginning of a partnership that could change the stars forever. Life on Earth began to change slowly after Lysara's arrival. The first weeks had been full of curiosity, laughter, and cautious interaction. But now, as humans and Lysara settled into a routine, new challenges appeared. The world was not ready to simply observe a gifted alien. Some governments were unsure if Earth could handle the attention it was receiving. Other species in the galaxy, watching closely, began sending messages that carried subtle pressure. They wanted to claim influence over Lysara and, through her, over humanity. Lysara was not oblivious to these threats. She could sense the hesitation in human leaders, the whispers of fear that crept through diplomatic channels. But she remained calm, as if reminding everyone that fear was never a solution. One morning, she walked with Dr. Hart through the facility's observation gardens, the sunlight glinting off her golden skin. You humans are clever, but you underestimate yourselves, Lysara said. The galaxy will test you not because it wishes harm, but because it must understand what you are capable of. You must decide how to respond. Dr. Hart frowned. I understand that, but the messages we receive, they are not polite. Some species see you as property. They want to reclaim you or control you. What do we do? Lysara paused, looking at a small fountain where water danced in the air. Do not react with anger. React with strategy. Observe, learn, and find their weaknesses. If you act recklessly, you will make enemies unnecessarily. But if you act with precision, you will make allies and show them that humans are not simple creatures to be controlled. Humans began to prepare carefully. Scientists, engineers, and diplomats worked together to understand galactic law, alien psychology, and Lysara's abilities. She offered guidance in small ways, teaching them how to read messages that were half threat, half demand, and how to respond without showing weakness. One day, during a high-level council meeting, an envoy from a rival species appeared on a holographic screen. His voice was smooth, polished, but with an edge of menace. Earth must remember, he said, that Lysara is not yours to keep. She belongs to her people, and they have not consented to your interference. Dr. Hart's hands tightened on the table. She is here as a guest, not a possession. We will treat her with respect, and we will not allow intimidation to dictate our actions. Lysara's calm voice followed through the translation device. Do not fear. Fear shows them that you are weak. Confidence shows them that you are strong. Humans, you must learn to balance both. You will be tested, but you will not fail if you remember that intelligence can triumph over force. Over the following weeks, humans practiced diplomacy like never before. They held simulations, debated strategies, and even trained in negotiation games with Lysara acting as both guide and challenger. She asked questions humans had never considered. What is your value if you cannot influence without fighting? How do you convince without lying? It was during one such session that Malik, the young engineer, approached her with a new idea. Lysara, I think I understand something. We are learning your world, but maybe we can show our world too. Maybe we can offer them a solution, something no one else could do, and in that way earn their respect. Lysara raised an eyebrow. Interesting. Go on. Malik explained that Earth had technology in development that could stabilize energy fluctuations in nearby star systems. The rival species had long struggled with the same issue, and it was considered unsolvable. Malik suggested presenting this as a demonstration of human ingenuity, showing the galaxy that humans were not just young and chaotic, but capable of solving problems no other species could. Lysara smiled faintly. Clever, very human. You wish to demonstrate worth through creation, not destruction. I approve, but remember, execution matters more than the idea. The team worked tirelessly, refining their calculations, testing prototypes, and preparing a presentation for the Galactic Council. Lysara acted as their mentor, correcting mistakes, encouraging critical thinking, and challenging their assumptions. Do not be satisfied with the easy answer, she said one afternoon, her golden eyes fixed on Malik. Seek the solution that surprises everyone, including yourselves. Finally, the day came for humans to present their solution. Representatives from dozens of alien species appeared in the council chamber, their faces a mixture of skepticism, curiosity, and impatience. Lysara stood at Dr. Hart's side, her presence commanding attention without demanding it. Malik began the presentation, his voice steady but nervous. He explained the problem and outlined the human solution, a device that could stabilize energy flow in unstable star systems by harmonizing natural gravitational waves with artificial resonance fields. It was elegant, efficient, and required no destructive force. When the demonstration concluded, the chamber fell silent. Then, slowly, murmurs of astonishment spread. Aliens whispered among themselves, recognizing the brilliance of the human approach. Lysara's smile widened. You see, she said softly to Dr. Hart. They cannot dismiss you now. You have touched them, not with force, but with intelligence. The rival species envoy looked frustrated, but even he could not deny the human success. He leaned forward, eyes narrowed. Perhaps there is more to your kind than we assumed. Humans felt a mixture of relief and pride. They had proven themselves in a way that did not rely on strength, conquest, or intimidation. They had solved a problem no one else could. And Lysara, the gift that had arrived quietly, had guided them every step of the way. The weeks following the presentation were filled with a new energy. Humans were invited to observe council meetings, to offer input on galactic decisions, and even to collaborate with other species on complex projects. Lysara became a bridge between worlds, translating not just language but intent, culture, and nuance. One evening, she walked with Malik through the city, observing humans in their daily lives. Children played in parks, families dined together, and street performers entertained passers-by. Lysara tilted her head, her gaze thoughtful. "Your species is remarkable," she said. "You create beauty in small ways, even while facing enormous challenges." "This is a power the galaxy underestimates. It is subtle, but it shapes perception. Never forget it," Malik laughed. "You make it sound so simple, but sometimes it feels like we are barely holding on." "Because you are young," Lysara said gently, "strength comes later. First, you must learn patience, observation, and creativity. You are learning faster than I expected. That is why I am here." Her words resonated with humans in ways they could not have predicted. She was not just a gift to be studied. She was a mentor, a mirror, and a challenge. She forced them to think beyond their limitations, to question assumptions, and to act with wisdom rather than impulse. Yet, even as humans adapted, challenges continued. Messages from other species grew more urgent, and subtle tensions simmered in council chambers. Some aliens doubted humanity's ability to maintain its success without succumbing to aggression or chaos. Lysara warned them, "The test is not over. You have won admiration, but you will be tested again. This is not punishment. It is opportunity. Do not squander it." Her guidance extended beyond strategy. She taught humans to observe patterns in alien behavior, to anticipate reactions, and to communicate clearly across cultures. She even encouraged them to explore their own creativity, designing new technologies and art inspired by her world. In this way, she nurtured human innovation without domination. One day, Malik asked her a question that had been on everyone's mind. "Lysara, why did the council send you here as a gift? Why not another species?" She smiled, a small curve of amusement in her golden eyes. "They did not expect much. They assumed you would be curious, yes, but limited. They wanted to see if humans could be influenced, controlled, or ignored. Instead, you surprised them. You reached for understanding, not conquest. You have value beyond what they predicted. That is why I remain here, not as property, but as a partner." Her words struck a chord. Humans began to see themselves differently, not just as a young planet in a vast galaxy, but as a species capable of shaping outcomes through intelligence, empathy, and collaboration. As weeks turned into months, Earth became a hub of interstellar learning. Lysara traveled with humans, teaching them the intricacies of alien cultures, helping mediate disputes, and introducing new ways of thinking. The lessons were never simple, and the challenges never easy. But humans adapted, learning to combine curiosity with caution, creativity with diplomacy. Through it all, Lysara maintained her playful, teasing tone. She often asked questions that made humans laugh and think at the same time. "Have you considered that the solution you admire might fail under pressure?" Or, "Why do you humans always assume the worst when the galaxy offers opportunity?" Her presence transformed Earth. Not through force or conquest, but through inspiration. Humans were no longer passive observers of the galaxy. They were active participants, learning, growing, and earning respect from species that had once ignored them. By the end of this phase, Lysara had achieved something remarkable. She had taught humans to value knowledge, creativity, and diplomacy over aggression. She had shown them that influence could be gained through intellect and empathy, not control. And in doing so, she had turned Earth into a planet that could not be dismissed, overlooked, or underestimated. Malik watched her one evening as she gazed at the stars, her golden hair catching the light of distant worlds. "Do you think they will ever trust us fully?" he asked. Lysara smiled softly. "Trust is not given freely, Malik. It is earned moment by moment. But you are learning. That is more than most species achieve in their first century among the stars. You will surprise them again and again if you continue as you have begun." And so humanity continued its journey, guided by a gift who had arrived quietly, who had challenged them, and who had shown that even in a galaxy full of power, intelligence, creativity, and empathy could shine brighter than any weapon. Months had passed since humans first demonstrated their ingenuity to the Galactic Council, and Earth had slowly begun to earn its place among the stars. But respect was not the same as influence, and influence was not the same as safety. Across the galaxy, a new challenge was brewing, one that no human had anticipated. Lysara noticed it first. While humans celebrated their small victories and marveled at alien technology, she sensed subtle patterns in communications that hinted at unrest. Some alien species whispered among themselves about the unexpected cleverness of Earth. Others sent veiled warnings through formal channels, testing humanity's reactions. To most humans, these messages seemed polite, almost routine. But Lysara could read between the lines. She walked through the research complex one morning, golden eyes scanning the bustling scientists and diplomats. Malik noticed her seriousness and followed closely, matching her pace. "What is it this time?" he asked, a hint of worry in his voice. "They are testing you," Lysara said calmly. "Not openly, but subtly. The galaxy is curious about humans, and curiosity can become danger if misunderstood. You must prepare not for war, but for challenge. A test is coming, and it will require every skill you have learned." "Doctor." Hart joined them, her brow furrowed. "A test? What kind of test?" "Not the kind you expect," Lysara said, her tone quiet but firm. "This will not be about strength. It will be about thinking, observing, and reacting under pressure. The outcome will determine if humans are trusted with more than admiration." The first sign appeared when the Council sent a distress signal from a distant star system. A cluster of planets was in danger of energy collapse, threatening to destabilize nearby worlds. The Council had tried and failed for decades to find a solution. Humans were invited, no, summoned, to provide assistance. It was a moment of both excitement and fear. Humanity had solved problems before, but this was on a galactic scale. One mistake could mean disaster for millions of lives. Dr. Hart gathered the team, and Malik could feel the tension in the room. Even with Lysara's guidance, the pressure was immense. Lysara addressed the group with her usual calm authority. "This is your opportunity, humans. Do not let fear dictate your actions. Use observation, creativity, and cooperation. These are your strengths. Remember, the galaxy expects nothing from you, but that is your advantage. You can surprise them." Humans began to prepare, studying the data transmitted from the troubled system. It was complicated, far beyond anything Earth had faced. Energy readings fluctuated wildly, star cores destabilized unexpectedly, and gravitational patterns shifted without explanation. Many scientists felt overwhelmed, but Lysara encouraged them to approach the problem differently. "Do not try to force a solution the way others would," she said. "The answer is hidden in patterns, not in brute calculations. Look carefully, ask questions, test theories. Listen to the system." Malik and his team worked tirelessly. Days blended into nights as they developed models, simulations, and predictions. Lysara's guidance proved invaluable. She suggested alternative methods, subtle adjustments, and creative approaches that humans had never considered. Finally, they identified the root problem, a rare type of energy resonance that caused unpredictable fluctuations. It was a phenomenon only observed in a few systems, and no alien species had successfully managed it. Humanity had to stabilize the resonance by creating a harmonic field that could absorb the excess energy while allowing natural processes to continue. The operation was delicate. A single miscalculation could create a cascade effect, turning a dangerous system into a catastrophic explosion. But humans, guided by Lysara, devised a solution. They designed an energy field generator, a combination of Earth technology and insights learned from Lysara's world, capable of harmonizing the unstable energy. The journey to the star system was tense. Humans traveled with council representatives from other species, many of whom doubted Earth's ability to succeed. Their skepticism was palpable. Even so, the human team remained focused, knowing that the lives of millions depended on their actions. Upon arrival, the system was chaotic. Stars flickered erratically, planets shuddered under shifting gravitational forces, and streams of energy pulsed unpredictably. Human sensors struggled to interpret the data, but Lysara guided them, pointing out patterns invisible to others. "Watch the flow," she instructed. "Do not try to control it, but guide it. The energy is alive in a sense. Work with it, not against it." The team worked methodically. Malik oversaw the deployment of generators, while scientists monitored energy fluctuations in real time. Every adjustment required precise timing and coordination. It was the most challenging task humans had ever faced. Hours passed with painstaking precision. When a surge threatened to destabilize a planet, humans acted quickly, following Lysara's advice. "Do not panic." Let the system speak. Adjust, do not force. The generators hummed, resonating with the natural energy of the stars. Slowly, stability returned. Planets stopped trembling and energy flows normalized. The council representatives watched in disbelief. Humans had succeeded where countless alien experts had failed. Lysara's eyes shone with pride. "You see," she said softly to Dr. Hart. "Brains, patience, and understanding, this is your strength, not weapons, not force. You have touched the universe with thought, not fear." The success brought immediate respect. Humans were no longer seen as young, chaotic observers. They were problem solvers, capable of approaching challenges differently from any other species. Even the most skeptical council members nodded in recognition. But Lysara reminded them that the galaxy was never fully predictable. "Success breeds attention," she said. "Not all attention is friendly. Some species will envy you, some will fear you, others will wish to manipulate you. Always remember what you have learned. Always trust in observation and cooperation." Humans also learned a new lesson about trust. The council representatives who had doubted them now sought advice and assistance from Earth. Diplomacy became a delicate game, requiring careful observation of motives and careful use of influence. Humans began to see the broader patterns of galactic politics, realizing that success in one area often led to unexpected challenges elsewhere. During the return to Earth, Lysara walked with Malik on the observation deck of their vessel. Stars stretched infinitely around them, a galaxy full of unknowns. Malik turned to her, still awed by what they had accomplished. "Do you think we can keep doing this?" he asked. Lysara smiled, her golden eyes reflecting distant light. "You can, Malik, but remember, every success creates expectation. Every solution invites challenge. The key is not to try to meet every expectation, but to stay true to your strengths. Curiosity, creativity, patience, and empathy. These are gifts you cannot lose." Back on Earth, the success of the mission became a turning point. Governments and scientists began to take a more active role in interstellar affairs. Earth was no longer an observer or a potential pawn. It had earned a voice in decisions that affected entire star systems. Lysara continued to guide humans, teaching them not only about alien technology but also about patterns of thought, negotiation, and strategy. She emphasized that influence was not about domination, but about earning trust, demonstrating competence, and inspiring collaboration. One evening, as Earth rotated beneath them, Malik asked her a question he had been thinking about for weeks. "Lysara, what will they expect next? The galaxy, it's so vast. How can humans keep up?" She laughed softly, a sound like sunlight through leaves. "They do not expect everything, Malik. They expect enough to measure you. But humans are unpredictable. That is your advantage. Use it wisely, and the galaxy will never fully know what you are capable of. You have learned well. Trust yourselves as much as you trust me." Her words resonated deeply. Humans had faced their first true galactic-scale challenge and had succeeded. They had learned to rely on observation, ingenuity, and patience, rather than force or fear. They had earned admiration, but more importantly, they had earned understanding of themselves, of Lysara, and of the galaxy. Even so, Lysara reminded them that the journey was far from over. New systems would need help, new patterns would emerge, and new challenges would test them. But she had confidence in humanity. She had seen how they could think, adapt, and inspire, and with each success, humans grew not only in skill but in self-belief. The galaxy was vast, full of uncertainty, yet full of opportunity. Humans had touched it, not with weapons or aggression, but with intelligence, cooperation, and understanding. Lysara, the gift who had arrived quietly months before, had guided them towards something extraordinary, a future where Earth was more than a small, young planet. It was becoming a beacon of creativity, problem-solving, and hope. As they looked out over the endless stars, Malik realized that humans had changed, but so had the galaxy. They had entered a realm where possibilities were limitless, and with Lysara at their side, the future felt brighter than anyone could have imagined. And so humanity moved forward, ready for whatever challenges awaited, guided by the wisdom of a golden-eyed alien who had arrived as a gift but had become much more. A mentor, a partner, and a symbol of what humans could achieve when they reached beyond themselves. Earth had become a quiet hub of activity among the stars, and humans were no longer observers, they were participants. Yet with recognition came responsibility. Other species began testing humanity in subtler ways, challenging them to prove not only their intelligence but also their wisdom. The next challenge came not from chaos or disaster, but from politics. A council debate erupted over the ownership of a system rich in resources. Multiple species claimed the planets, arguing that they had historical ties or moral rights. The council, divided and tense, could not reach a consensus. For the first time, humans were asked to speak, not just observe, but advise, mediate, and influence. Lysara sensed the weight of the moment. "This is not about technology or force," she said quietly to Dr. Hart. "This is about perception. About fairness, about seeing beyond tradition and ego. If humans succeed here, you will earn respect not through demonstration of skill, but through judgment." Dr. Hart nodded, though the responsibility made her heart pound. "We've never mediated something on this scale before." "That is exactly why you must try," Lysara replied. "Others expect rigidity. They expect humans to stumble. Show them creativity and understanding, and they will see you as equals." Malik and his team spent days studying the claims, mapping historical records, treaties, and cultural connections. The arguments were complicated, full of nuance, and often conflicting. Some species claimed ancestral discovery of planets, others pointed to centuries of occupation. The council's rules were strict, but the moral dimension was murky. Humans had to balance facts with empathy, logic with diplomacy. On the first day of debate, council members argued fiercely. Aliens spoke in long, formal statements, often interrupting one another. Voices rose and fell, screens lit up with data, and tensions thickened. Humans were initially silent, observing, taking notes, and trying to understand the hidden dynamics. Lysara leaned close to Malik. "Do not react immediately. Listen to the gaps between words, the hesitations, the choices of emphasis. Power lies in understanding what is not said as much as what is spoken." When it was humanity's turn, Dr. Hart stepped forward. Her voice was calm, deliberate, and clear. "We have studied the claims and histories of the parties involved," she began. "We recognize that all species here have valid points, but our goal is not to take sides. Our goal is to find a solution that preserves life, respects history, and ensures fairness. That is the challenge and the responsibility that we accept." Her words surprised the council. Most expected humans to take a neutral stance or stumble under pressure. But Dr. Hart continued, presenting a proposal that balanced historical claims with practical outcomes. She suggested a joint governance model, with shared oversight, resource allocation based on need, and cultural exchange programs to prevent resentment. The council murmured, debating her suggestion. Some species protested, claiming that shared governance would weaken their authority. Others were intrigued, curious about how a young species could propose such a sophisticated compromise. Lysara watched with pride, her golden eyes sparkling. "This is your strength," she whispered. "You are unpredictable yet reasonable. You act where others only argue." Humans were not finished. Malik stepped forward next, presenting a detailed plan for cooperation, emphasizing technological exchange, environmental protection, and long-term sustainability. The proposals were practical, logical, and importantly, humane. They demonstrated that humans could think beyond self-interest, considering the needs of multiple species. By the end of the session, the council had made a decision. Though not all species were entirely satisfied, the compromise was accepted. The planets would be governed jointly, with humans acting as advisors and mediators, a neutral yet respected presence. Humanity had not imposed power. They had earned influence through observation, negotiation, and insight. Celebrations were muted, not out of lack of excitement, but because the victory was measured, intellectual, and moral. Humans had learned that influence could be far more powerful than authority. Lysara smiled as she walked with Malik through the council halls. "You have done well," she said. "This is a milestone. Others see now that humans are not just clever but capable of fairness and judgment. You have touched not objects but the hearts and minds of the galaxy." Malik laughed softly. "It doesn't feel like a victory. It feels exhausting." "Victory is never easy," Lysara said. "It is measured in patience, creativity, and endurance, not applause. You have earned trust where others only expected defiance. That is something no weapon could achieve." Yet challenges continued. Not all species welcomed humans' growing reputation. Some began spreading doubts, questioning Earth's capability, claiming that humans were naive and inexperienced. Others tried to manipulate the council subtly, testing humans' reactions to pressure, misinformation, and moral dilemmas. Lysara saw this as the next test. The galaxy measures not just skill but character, she explained. You have demonstrated intelligence. Now you must demonstrate integrity. You must act consistently, fairly, and wisely, even when others try to exploit your decisions. Humans faced their first real test of moral courage when a group of planets requested immediate intervention in a territorial dispute, claiming that delays would cause harm. The evidence presented was conflicting, with one side exaggerating the danger and the other minimizing it. Acting hastily could harm innocent populations, delaying could make them appear indecisive. Dr. Hart called a meeting with her advisors and Lysara. We have to act, but any choice could have serious consequences. How do we decide? Lysara considered carefully. Listen to all voices, verify facts where possible, seek compromise where necessary. And remember, humans excel when you act not out of fear or pressure, but out of reasoned empathy. That is your gift. The team worked tirelessly, analyzing data, conducting interviews with local leaders via holographic transmissions, and consulting council archives. Malik suggested a novel approach. Create a temporary joint council with equal representation from both sides, mediated by humans, to oversee critical decisions until stability could be restored. The idea was bold, unprecedented, and risky. Other species whispered in disapproval, predicting chaos. But humans presented it with clarity and reason, emphasizing fairness, transparency, and long-term benefits. Lysara's guidance helped them anticipate objections, address concerns, and strengthen their plan. When the temporary council was established, humans monitored its progress closely. The planets responded cautiously at first, but as decisions were made fairly, tensions eased. Cooperation replaced suspicion, and the temporary council gradually stabilized the situation. Humans had once again succeeded, not through force, but through intellect, diplomacy, and moral reasoning. Throughout this period, Lysara remained a constant guide. She taught humans how to interpret subtle cues, anticipate reactions, and approach each challenge as an opportunity to build trust. She reminded them repeatedly that true influence was measured by consistency and fairness, not domination. One evening, Malik and Lysara stood on a balcony overlooking Earth. Lights from cities twinkled like stars, and the planet seemed quiet and peaceful after months of intense work. Malik sighed. I never imagined humans could have this much responsibility in the galaxy. Lysara smiled. Responsibility is not a burden when it is earned. You have shown patience, creativity, and integrity. The galaxy will continue to test you, but now you know you can rise to the challenge. Remember, true influence grows from trust, not fear, Doctor. Hart joined them, nodding in agreement. We've learned a lot, she said, and not just about the galaxy, but about ourselves. Exactly, Lysara said. You are no longer a young, chaotic species. You are observers, problem solvers, and mediators. You have touched the galaxy in a way others cannot, not with power, but with thought, compassion, and insight. That is rare, that is remarkable, that is human, the Council noticed. Alien species that had once doubted Earth now sought human counsel, asking for advice on disputes, technological dilemmas, and diplomatic negotiations. Humans became a respected voice in interstellar decisions, proving that intellect and morality could shape outcomes far more effectively than brute force. As months turned into a year, humans and Lysara continued to work together, traveling to distant star systems, mediating disputes, and helping species understand one another. Each success reinforced the idea that the galaxy was not won by power, but by understanding, creativity, and empathy. Even as humans gained influence, Lysara reminded them that humility was essential. The galaxy is vast, she said one night as they watched stars drift past their observation deck. There is always more to learn, always new patterns to observe, always new challenges to face. Pride can blind you, curiosity will guide you, never forget that. Malik looked at her thoughtfully. Do you think humans will ever be ready to lead? Lead, Lysara asked, her golden eyes reflecting starlight. Perhaps not in the way others imagine, but to influence, to inspire, and to create solutions where none exist that you can do already. Leadership is less about control, more about vision. You have the vision if you continue to act wisely. And so, humanity continued its journey among the stars, guided by a gift who had become more than a token, more than a mentor. Lysara had arrived as a gift to Earth, but she had grown to become a partner, a guide, and a symbol of what humans could achieve. Ingenuity, empathy, and the courage to act wisely, even under the galaxy's watchful gaze. Humanity had proven that even a young species, with patience, creativity, and morality, could earn trust, respect, and influence in a universe full of powerful, experienced civilizations. And they knew that the greatest challenges were still ahead, waiting to test not their strength, but their intelligence, their empathy, and their ability to think beyond themselves. For the first time, humans truly understood that their gift was not Lysara alone. Their gift was their mind, their heart, and the courage to rise above expectation. And as the stars stretched endlessly before them, they prepared to face the next test with confidence, guided by the golden-eyed alien who had taught them that true influence was earned, never taken.